What separates a legendary Jedi Master from someone who can barely sense the Force? The answer lies in microscopic life forms that most people in the galaxy don't even know exist. These tiny organisms determine whether you'll become the next chosen one or spend your entire life completely disconnected from the cosmic energy that binds everything together. Every Force user in Star Wars can be classified into one of 6 distinct power levels, and understanding these tiers explains why some characters can move starships with their minds while others struggle to sense danger. The key to this classification system comes down to a single measurement that the Jedi Order used for thousands of years. This measurement involves midi-chlorians, the intelligent microscopic life forms that live inside every cell of every living being. George Lucas introduced this concept in the prequel trilogy, and while it sparked controversy among fans, it provides the scientific foundation for understanding Force sensitivity across the galaxy. The controversy stems from fans who felt midi-chlorians made the Force too scientific rather than mystical. Many argued that it reduced the Force to a simple blood test rather than something achieved through faith and training. However, midi-chlorians don't explain how the Force works. They simply explain why some individuals can access it more easily than others. Through blood tests measuring midi-chlorian count per cell, the Jedi Order could identify potential recruits and classify their abilities. This same system allows us to understand exactly where every major character fits in the hierarchy of Force users, from the weakest sensitivity all the way up to the most powerful beings in galactic history. The first level, or normal level for lack of a better term, consisted of those with a midi-chlorian count of less than 2,500 per cell. A person with a midi-chlorian count this low would likely never experience any sort of pull to the Force. Therefore, they would never realize any abilities, even the most basic ones like precognition or enhanced reflexes. This is where your average Joe slots in. For instance, humans like Owen Lars, those stormtroopers with terrible aim, and even notable heroes like Lando Calrissian. Even more capable combatants like Jango Fett and Boba Fett sit at this level, proof that Force sensitivity isn't the end-all be-all in a galaxy far, far away. Jango Fett was selected as the genetic template for the entire clone army, despite having no Force sensitivity whatsoever. His combat skills, marksmanship, and tactical abilities were so exceptional that the Kaminoans chose him over potentially thousands of other candidates. Boba Fett inherited his father's skills and became the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy, successfully tracking down and capturing Han Solo. Captain Rex, Commander Cody, and the other clone commanders also fall into this category. Despite being genetically identical to Jango, they developed individual personalities and tactical expertise that made them effective military leaders. Rex's ability to survive Order 66 and continue fighting in the rebellion shows that determination and experience can overcome the lack of Force sensitivity. Director Krennic, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and General Grievous also belong in this tier. Grievous was trained in lightsaber combat by Count Dooku and could hold his own against multiple Jedi simultaneously but didn't have high midi-chlorians, showing that you can train as a lightsaber duelist without Force sensitivity. His cybernetic body allowed him to wield 4 lightsabers at once and move faster than most organic beings could react. The next tier consists of those who are mildly Force sensitive, with a midi-chlorian count of about 5,000 per cell. Though likely unaware of it, these individuals are able to subconsciously use subtle Force abilities, such as being able to sense imminent danger or another person from a great distance. One person who likely fits into this tier is none other than Han Solo. Despite his own skepticism regarding the Force, if Han were to have this slightly above average midi-chlorian count, even without knowing it, it would explain why he was such an amazing star pilot. After all, his feats in the cockpit were unprecedented for a non-Force user, having navigated through the notoriously treacherous Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. Han was one hell of a shot too. Even when he was old and gray in The Force Awakens, he still pulled off that no-look blaster shot on a stormtrooper he couldn't have possibly seen coming. And you know who else fits in that category? Finn. They hint a few times in the sequels that he's got some Force sensitivity going on, which totally explains how he managed to hold his own against Kylo Ren with 0 lightsaber training. Plus, he could feel things, danger, people in trouble way before anyone else did. Sabine Wren fits into this category as well. Despite being trained as Ahsoka Tano's apprentice, It's revealed by the lightsaber architect droid Hu Yang that her Force aptitude was so low that the Jedi Order would have never accepted her for training. However, she was still able to use basic Force abilities like sensing and limited telekinesis after extensive training. Chirrut Imwe from Rogue One also belongs here. Though not technically a Jedi, his deep faith in the Force and years of training as a Guardian of the Wills allowed him to sense Imperial troops and navigate combat situations with enhanced awareness. His ability to walk unharmed through blaster fire to activate the Master Switch on Scarif suggests mild Force sensitivity, enhanced by unwavering belief. Those that would actually be accepted into the Order fit in the potential Jedi level with a midi-chlorian count of about 8,000 to 9,000 per cell. During the time of the Galactic Republic, if a child was found to have a midi-chlorian count in this range, they would be recruited and brought to the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. However, that didn't necessarily mean they would become a Jedi Knight and engage in combat on the front lines of the Clone Wars. Jedi with this level of Force sensitivity typically failed their initiate trials to become Padawans, and were assigned to the far less glorious Jedi Service Corps. There they fulfilled roles vital to the day-to-day operations of the Jedi Order, within one of 4 branches: the Agricultural Corps, Medical Corps, Educational Corps, and Exploration Corps. An example of a Jedi at this level would be Yocasta Nu, the chief librarian of the Jedi Temple archives. Though she wasn't particularly well versed in lightsaber combat or as Force sensitive as other Jedi, she was incredibly knowledgeable. Master Jocasta aided her fellow Jedi in finding the information they needed while controlling access to several restricted vaults and artifacts. She even survived the initial events of Order 66 and managed to preserve and hide information vital to training a new generation of Jedi. Another example of characters in this midi-chlorian range would be most of the Imperial Inquisitors, like the 6th brother, 10th brother, 5th brother, and 7th sister. They were specifically chosen at this lower power level so they could never have a chance of overthrowing Darth Sidious and Darth Vader. They were pawns used by the Empire to hunt down Jedi and nothing more. The second sister, once known as Trilla Siduri, also fits into this tier. Before falling to the dark side, she trained as a Padawan under Jedi Master Siraj Junda. While skilled and disciplined, her abilities were more in line with a capable apprentice rather than a standout prodigy before Order 66. Barriss Offee, Ahsoka Tano's former friend and Master Luminara's Padawan, also belongs here. She was a competent Jedi with solid control of the Force, but her growing disillusionment with the Jedi Order and the Clone Wars ultimately led her down a darker path when she orchestrated the Jedi Temple bombing. Cal Kestis rounds out this tier. Though his psychometry, his ability to read memories through objects, is rare and powerful, his overall Force sensitivity aligns with that of a promising Padawan. His journey in Jedi Fallen Order reflects the struggles of someone rediscovering and rebuilding their connection to the Force after years of suppression, showcasing both his limitations and his resilience. The next tier of midi-chlorian density is where you find the more powerful Jedi Knights, with a midi-chlorian count around 12,000 per cell. This mid-tier consisted of those Jedi who you would see leading clone trooper forces into battle during the Clone Wars. Most Jedi with this count were likely to become Jedi Masters and take on Padawan learners, with the most wise and powerful earning the right to sit in one of the 12 pristine seats of the Jedi High Council. This is where you'll find Masters and Council members like Plo Koon, Ki Adi-Mundi, and Kit Fisto, who are all speculated to have had a midi-chlorian count of around 12,000. Though some of the wisest and most powerful Jedi of their time, there's still a defined 2 tiers above them. Another prime example would be Obi-Wan Kenobi, who sat in the 13,000 midi-chlorian density range, almost in the middle of this tier and the next. Well, this might sound like a lot. It's definitely not as much as many opponents that he was able to defeat in combat. Obi-Wan is proof that your midi-chlorian count doesn't necessarily determine your success. Qui-Gon Jinn also belongs in this tier. His midi-chlorian count of approximately 13,000 allowed him to discover the secret of Force immortality and maintain his consciousness after death. His mastery of the living Force was exceptional for someone at this level. Ahsoka Tano fits into this category as well. Starting as Anakin's Padawan, she developed abilities that eventually surpassed many full Jedi Knights. Her unique reverse grip lightsaber technique and her ability to survive Order 66 and continue growing stronger outside the Jedi Order demonstrate the upper potential of this tier. The Grand Inquisitor, before his fall to the dark side, was likely a Jedi Temple Guard with abilities in this range. His knowledge of lightsaber combat forms and force techniques made him a formidable opponent even for experienced Jedi like Kanan Jarrus. And Kanan himself represents this tier perfectly. Despite his incomplete training due to Order 66, he was able to train Ezra Bridger and eventually achieved the rank of Jedi Knight posthumously. His sacrifice on Lothal and his ability to hold back an explosion through the Force shows the combat potential available at this level. Master Luminara and Shaak Ti were all Jedi Masters who served on various councils and led troops during the Clone Wars. Their combat abilities and Force mastery were sufficient to handle most threats they encountered. Ezra Bridger also belongs in this tier. His natural connection to animals and his ability to influence creatures across Lothal demonstrates strong Force sensitivity. His growth from street thief to capable Jedi under Kanan's training shows the learning potential of someone at this level. The 5th level and second highest is where you'll find the most powerful Jedi Masters, clocking in with a midi-chlorian count of around 15,000 per cell. These are, of course, the Order's true elite. Jedi Masters who possess knowledge and abilities that those below them could not match. 15,000 midi-chlorians per cell is generally accepted as the max ceiling of midi-chlorian level, though there are rare exceptions. This belief is reinforced by the Sith Lord Darth Tenebrous, the master of Darth Plagueis, who said a being of pure force might have a midi-chlorian count of 15,000 or more, implying that most Force sensitives could not have a count that high. Examples of Jedi Masters at this level would be Count Dooku, who is estimated to have around 14,000, and Mace Windu, who is in the 16,000 range. Dooku was considered one of the finest lightsaber duelists in the Jedi Order before his fall to the dark side. His mastery of Form 2 combat and his political acumen made him incredibly dangerous as both a Jedi and a Sith. Mace Windu's creation and mastery of Vapad, the 7th form of lightsaber combat, required exceptional Force sensitivity and mental discipline. His Shatterpoint ability allowed him to see critical weaknesses in any situation, making him uniquely effective against dark side users. Windu was the only Jedi to defeat Emperor Palpatine in single combat. Jedi Master Yoda's species is naturally long-lived and Force-sensitive, but other members like Yaddle likely fall into this tier rather than the legendary level. Yaddle served on the Jedi Council and possessed considerable Force abilities, though not quite reaching Yoda's exceptional level. Darth Maul, despite his relatively brief training under Darth Sidious, demonstrated abilities that suggest a midi-chlorian count in this range. His survival after being cut in half, his mastery of the dark side, and his ability to influence events across multiple star systems show the resilience available at this level. We'll effectively call this the Chosen One tier for obvious reasons, as it's where you find those with a midi-chlorian count of around 20,000 per cell. As we teased, this is where you find the Chosen One himself, Anakin Skywalker, who is believed to have been conceived by the midi-chlorians themselves. Because of this, Anakin possessed the highest count ever recorded at over 27,000. This was even higher than Yoda's, which shocked Qui-Gon Jinn and reinforced his belief that Anakin was, in fact, the prophesied Chosen One that would bring balance to the Force. We also have to mention the other legendary Force wielders who fit in this tier, although slightly below Anakin: Darth Sidious and Yoda, both of whom were pushing 20,000 midi-chlorians per cell, but weren't quite there. Yoda, with his 900 years of experience and training, represents the pinnacle of Jedi mastery. His ability to lift Luke's X-Wing out of the Dagobah swamp, his incredible lightsaber skills despite his size, and his mastery of Force lightning absorption all demonstrate the capabilities available at this level. Yoda's connection to the cosmic Force allowed him to maintain his consciousness after death and continue training Luke as a Force ghost. Emperor Palpatine's midi-chlorian count of approximately 20,000 made him the most powerful Sith Lord in galactic history. His mastery of the dark side was so complete that he could hide his true nature from the entire Jedi Council for decades. His Force lightning could kill instantly, his battle meditation could influence entire fleets, and his knowledge of Sith alchemy allowed him to transfer his consciousness into clone bodies. Palpatine's manipulation of galactic events, from orchestrating the Clone Wars to executing Order 66, required precognitive abilities and strategic thinking, enhanced by his connection to the dark side. His ability to create force storms capable of destroying entire fleets demonstrates the destructive potential available at this level. It's also highly likely that Luke Skywalker would be somewhere in this range. Genetics weren't everything, but that mighty Skywalker blood gives him an edge over most other Jedi. Unfortunately, we don't have his exact count to confirm, as the blood tests used by the Jedi Order were not common anymore in the post-Imperial galaxy. Nevertheless, Luke's rapid mastery of Jedi abilities, his ability to resist the Emperor's torture, and his success in redeeming Darth Vader all point to Force sensitivity in the legendary range. His moment of pure connection to the Force during the Death Star trench run, guided by Obi-Wan's spirit, represents the kind of transcendent experience only available to those at this level. Galen Marek, known as Starkiller, represents one of the most powerful Force users ever trained outside the traditional Jedi or Sith orders. As Darth Vader's secret apprentice, Starkiller demonstrated abilities that placed him firmly in the legendary tier. His midi-chlorian count was never officially measured, but his feats speak for themselves. He could pull entire Star Destroyers out of orbit, something that required Force power on a scale rarely seen in galactic history. Starkiller's training under Vader was brutal and unconventional, focusing purely on raw power rather than the discipline typically associated with Force mastery. His ability to defeat both Jedi Masters and Sith Lords in combat, combined with his capacity to channel Force lightning powerful enough to kill Darth Sidious, demonstrates the kind of abilities only available at this tier. His sacrifice to save the Rebel Alliance's founders showed that even at this level of power, choice, and conviction, ultimately determine a Force user's legacy. The Mortis gods, the Father, the Son, and the Daughter, existed beyond normal midi-chlorian measurements. Their ability to manipulate reality itself and their connection to the cosmic force placed them in a category entirely separate from mortal Force users. Through midi-chlorian count, we are able to classify every single character in the Star Wars galaxy into these 6 levels of Force mastery. From the normal citizens going about their daily lives to the legendary Chosen One himself, each tier represents a different relationship with the Force and the potential for greatness within the galaxy far, far away. These levels help us understand not just the raw power of our favorite characters, but also how training, discipline, and choice can allow someone to exceed their apparent limitations or fall short of their potential. The Force flows through all living things, but it's how individuals choose to embrace that connection that determines their ultimate destiny. So now that you've seen how the Force connects every being in the galaxy, from the farmers of Tatooine to the legends of the Jedi Order, where do you think you'd fall on this scale? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more Star Wars lore every week on HyperWook.